Hey, what's up guys, it's Wake the Jake here, and I've been thinking about something. You know that movie with the perfect concept, an amazing cast, and a trailer that leaves you anticipating for the full thing? Then you watch it, and you leave disappointed. And it's not because the movie's bad. No, sometimes it's worse. It's that one specific cinematic letdown that comes from seeing lost potential. It's watching a film that's just an inch away from being a masterpiece. The story that was almost amazing, the characters were almost iconic. The film was this close to being forgettable. Today, I'm discussing those films. The ones with the brilliant ideas that were tragically ruined by flawed execution or flat out stupidity. From confusing plot holes and terrible pacings to endings that felt completely flat. These are the movies that haunt us with what could have been. The films that were just a few changes away from being classics. Let's start with the movie that had a monster-sized opportunity. I'm sorry for that one. Anyways. After the surprise success of the first Hotel Transylvania, the promise of the second film was to build on that world. Mavis and Johnny have a son, Dennis, and the central conflict is Dracula, being worried whether he will be a human or a vampire. The stage was set for a hilarious and heartfelt story about mixed families, heritage, and accepting your loved ones for who they are. The promise was a story about prejudice and parenting, tackling complex issues in a lighthearted way. Dracula claims to be fine whether Dennis is human or monster, but his actions say otherwise. You have a great setup for Dracula to finally move past his old world biases and embrace his beautifully blended family. But then, the movie gets strangely chaotic. Instead of a meaningful story, it becomes a series of disconnected gags and a road trip that reuses jokes from the first movie. Dracula's character arc is basically a repeat of the first film. He just swapped his anxiety with Mavis for anxiety about Dennis. The movie spends most of his runtime on Dracula trying to force Dennis to be a vampire, endangering and traumatizing the kid in the process. This sends a confusing message, especially suggesting that Dennis does have to pick a side. Even worse, the movie seems to sidelight its most interesting character, Mavis, whose conflict as a new mother is torn between two worlds that should have been the heart of the story. And the what if is frustratingly obvious. What if the movie had actually been about Mavis? Instead of a silly road trip, imagine a film that seriously explores her fears and hopes for her son. It could have been a sharp, relevant comedy about the challenges mixed families face, keeping the zany humor but keeping it grounded in real emotion. Instead, is a sequel that chose easy jokes over a story with real soul, leaving its great potential buried alive. Another gripe I have is Johnny. His whole character arc was just basically taken out. Where's his fatherly instinct? What happened to his fun side? He just totally lost it. And he becomes this whole sit back dad, let me follow the joke, let me follow the plan that Dracula has, instead of being the rebel that he was. Like showing how great humans could be. Why did we lose that? I don't know. I don't know what they were thinking, what the directors were thinking, but again, this movie could have been so much more. But let's just do the whole poop comedy jokes and let's just, the kids will like it. But I believe that kids movies, it can be for kids, but it can also be for adults too. It was a good story, okay? Why didn't we see more with Mavis and Johnny? You know, like let them see their honeymoon or something. It went straight from marriage to birth. What happened? Like there was no break in between. Like come on, we could have had more there. Next up is a film with a concept so magical it should have been a home run. The promise of Wonder Park was a visually spectacular adventure about the power of imagination. A creative young girl named June discovers that the amusement park that she created with her sick mother has come to life. This was set up to be a deeply emotional story in the vein of Pixar's Inside Out, a journey inside the child's mind as she uses her creativity to cope with fear and potential loss. The idea of June's emotional state being the force that's either building up or destroying her imaginary world is brilliant. It had the potential to be a powerful and touching exploration of how imagination helps us process grief, wrapped in the package of a fun, colorful animated movie. The visuals of the park itself is incredible, promising a feast for the eyes. However, the downfall was a story that felt sanitized, uninspired, and structurally messy. The film notoriously had a troubled production, and the final product seems disjointed, never fully committing to its deep emotional themes. It wants to be a profound story about a child dealing with a parent's illness, but it repeatedly undercuts the drama with cliche antics and shallow supporting characters. While the park itself is imaginative, the time spent there feels underdeveloped. It's as if the movie got scared of its own serious subject matter and tried to mask it with generic cartoon fun, resulting in a film that felt totally bizarre and forgettable. Now, this may be controversial, but that mother should have died! I know. What? What about the mother? Shouldn't she live? I don't care. I mean, like, the whole point of it was that she's sick and that June is supposed to carry her imagination into her park, okay? She was supposed to keep it despite the situation, okay? Like, despite your current situation, you can still be imaginative, fun, and keep the spirit of your family members. But no, they had to bring her back with this cliche back, like, oh, we're all happy-go-lucky now. No. She should have died. She should have stayed dead, and then we would have had a more emotional story. I know this may hurt, but this would have worked. The what if is a lesson of creative courage. What if the film had fully embraced its core concept? Imagine a version that truly explored the connection between June's anxiety and the park's decay, using the darkness as a genuine metaphor for her fear. It could have been a modern classic for families dealing with tough times. Instead, Wonder Park is a beautifully designed ride that goes nowhere. A perfect example of a brilliant idea being watered down till it lost all of its magic. Okay, so apparently there was an unreleased spin-off that was supposed to go off of the movie. Let me see what it's about. Oh gosh! This isn't what happened to the quality. What did they do? Why must the show be so much worse than the movie? Let's take a look at this. Look at this. It's just it lost all its magic. It looks like a cheap kid show now. And it looks dead. The whole place looks dead. Okay, now you understand what I'm saying though, right? Let's move on to the next topic. And finally, we have a movie that promised to be a modern live-action classic. The promise of If was irresistible. From director John Krasinski, it featured a star-studded cast and a premise dripping with heart and nostalgia. A young girl named Bee, who's going through a difficult time, discovers she can see everyone's forgotten imaginary friends, or the Ifs. The idea was to team up with Ryan Reynolds' character to reconnect these magical creatures with their kids. It was marketed as a live-action Pixar movie, a heartfelt story for the family about memory, grief, and the magic of childhood. The film aimed for big themes: childhood innocence, the power of imagination as a coping mechanism, and the sadness of growing up. Wait a minute. This sounds similar to the... Is this a thing going on? Let me look at my script. Hold on. Yeah, it's right. I guess it's something about imagination, this video. Well, moving on. With a huge cast of charming, creatively designed ifs, this was supposed to be the kind of movie that makes you laugh and cry. A truly memorable cinematic experience. The downfall, however, was a script with massive narrative holes and a complete lack of consistent world building. The movie makes rules, breaks them, and presents plot points that never paid off. The central mission of the story is also confusing. First, it's about matching ifs with new kids, then it abruptly shifts to reuniting them with their original, now adult kids. These underdeveloped story elements and flimsy logic make it hard to get emotionally invested. For a movie billed as a comedy, it's surprisingly short on laughs, and while it aims for sweetness, the shaky plot prevents the emotional moments from fully landing. The big if of this movie is a simple matter of focus and follow through. What if the world had clear, established rules, a tighter script that didn't feel like two different movies stitched together that could have allowed a more wonderful premise to shine? The film had the right pieces, a touching concept, a great cast, and visual charm, but its messy, underdeveloped story left it feel like a collection of lovely ideas that never quite fully formed a cohesive, magical whole. From animated sequels that lost their heart to live-action fantasies that got lost in their own rules, these films are monuments to missed opportunities. They're a source of endless frustration for movie lovers precisely because we can see the classic film that was just within reach. They had the cast, the concept, and the cash, but somewhere along the line, they just took a wrong turn. But hey, that's just my list. And unfortunately, I didn't get to go into the deep details because I don't want my future me hating me too much with all my messy words.
Too late.
Anyways, the world is full of cinematic, beautiful disasters, and I know that you have some that disappointed you. Let me know in the comments below which movies you think that should have been great. Which film had the perfect premise but failed in its execution? If you enjoyed this little cinematic group therapy, be sure to like and subscribe. I'm Wait the Jake, and thank you for watching.
Okay, you get it, you got it, alright. I shine for the days that I couldn't, I'ma pop out tonight.